All right, here's a quick overview of the 30-day Get Paid Clients Challenge, specifically designed for coaches who either are starting out and they want to get paid clients as quick as possible in the simplest possible way, or have already got some paid clients, but they can't seem to get that consistency going. And so it's a one-on-one mentorship program where I guide them on a weekly basis in the form of Zoom calls or one-on-one mentorship calls. And then in between, I also provide support on WhatsApp, questions, there's some form of accountability, homework exercises, feedback, and that kind of thing, also that they can get their first paid clients in 30 to 60 days without using social media, without using paid ads or technical websites, webinars, masterclasses, and of course, without feeling like they need to be weird or salesy. And then a little bit about myself. My name is Warren Nell. I'm a coach, trainer, and public speaker certified by the John Maxwell team. And I specialize nowadays as a business mentor and consultant, specifically for coaches, consultants, freelancers, trainers, etc. These are some of the testimonials that I can send to you later after our call, if we're having a call, just so that you have a second person perspective of kind of what it's like working together, obviously, and especially if we're meeting for the first time. So these are just some of the testimonials. And then there's the Get Paid Clients step-by-step framework. There's about 5 steps and 3 bonus components. And in the first step, we ensure that we have a profitable niche. A lot of coaches, when starting out, they don't actually know who it is that they're serving. And even if they do, they don't have people that have the problem that they're solving specifically. And they don't have people that are both willing and able to actually pay for what it is they're providing. A very, very important component for actually building a profitable business. And then the second part here is ensuring that we know what the profile is of this person so that we know how to target them. We call that a customer avatar. So step 1 is, who do we sell to? Step 2 is, what do we actually sell? Is it valuable to our audience? And does it resonate with a specific pain point or result that they're seeking? See, a lot of coaches just end up selling their coaching or their services. But in reality, the market doesn't really care about coaching or whatever service we're providing. Again, they care about their specific pain point or result that they're looking for. And so what you do through a unique value proposition, you clearly communicate to that specific chosen audience that you are the go-to provider that solves that specific problem or gets that specific result for that specific person in a unique and different way. And thereby, you kind of avoid that trap that most service providers or coaches fall into of just kind of becoming invisible and phasing out into the crowd of all of the other players out there in the market. And so you do that through your unique value proposition, which we take the coaches through. And then also we create an all-in-one complete solution to a specific problem that they have through creating a coaching offer rather than offering coaching packages. And so we dive into a little bit more detail in terms of what that looks like and the steps that we go through, but ultimately you're creating a lot more value per client and therefore also making a lot more money per client. So instead of, selling $200 or $300 at a time per person, you're in a position where you could be selling, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 plus dollars per client. And so all of a sudden you need far less clients to be hitting your financial goals than if you were choosing the other method. So that's step 2. What do we sell? Then step 3 is, how do we actually attract the who, our chosen audience, to the actual offer, what we're providing? And so there's this unique method called warm outreach, which is the most effective and reliable way for marketing, but it also enables you to get paid clients, start attracting clients without using social media, paid ads, technical websites, etc., etc. And it also helps you to develop essential skills for when you do start transferring over to some of the other methods of marketing, which you definitely want to once you start gaining momentum in paid clients and your coaching business. Step 4 is all about getting social proof, basically testimonials. When you have people that say nice stuff about you and about the results that you've gotten them and their experience that you've given them, that creates a lot more credibility, a lot more trust, and ultimately converts into, higher conversions in your sales process. So very, very powerful. That's what we do in step 4. Step 5 is the last step in this process, which is actually getting paid. So this is the sales process, and sales is a very tricky thing for most people because we have certain beliefs around sales. For most people, when you say the word sales, the idea or picture that comes into their minds is like a weird or pushy salesperson. And we're living in a world, a digital age where, this is no longer effective anymore. People are becoming wiser. People are becoming more discerning and cautious because of, other maybe coaches or entrepreneurs or service providers that have been a little bit scammy, come across a little bit scammy or being pushy or weird. And so we want to be able to engage in a conversation that helps the other person, your audience, or the person that's interested in your offer, to really discover the value of what you have instead of you telling them or kind of pushing your agenda on them about the value. How do you sell to someone with confidence, assertiveness, professionalism, and authority, but also without being weird, pushy, or salesy? When somebody books a call with you because they're interested in seeing what you have to offer them, what do you say? What don't you say? What's the sequence that you take people through? What questions do you ask? When do you ask these questions? How do you ask these questions? In a way that you create a really beautiful experience where people get to, on their own, discover the true value of your offer, and then on their own get to decide whether or not it's actually something that they're wanting to go ahead with, but also in a way that you get to kind of choose and qualify, per se, whether these are people that you're really wanting to work with. So it's really a win-win for both parties. And it's a scenario where you're not, again, being pushy or salesy or anything like that. You are conducting a discovery-based discussion based on your offer, based on whether this is a good match or not, in a way that feels good for both parties. And that's really what we call high ticket selling. And it's probably one of the most crucial parts of this process, really connecting all of the dots between the niche, the offer, attracting people to that, and then the last step being, okay, well, actually closing them or having a sales discussion where they are actually deciding whether or not to go ahead with your program. So that's what we do in step 5. Then we have a couple of bonuses included in the program in the form of trainings, frameworks, and strategies. So the first one is automate. This is when you are starting to get some paid clients and you followed that process, but you also want to be in a place where you don't feel like you're an employee working in your business, but that you have step-by-step frameworks and systems to help you really streamline that process. So discover the 4 secrets on how to double your business productivity and profitability. That's a framework for you as the entrepreneur to ensure that you are really focused on the most important things that are really going to move the needle in the business, and also to ensure that you're effective and that you're organized. Very, very important, especially as you make that transition from being a coach to being a coach entrepreneur. And there are also other tools that are very helpful in terms of ensuring that you know what your goals are and that you can actually break those down. Just so you have an example of what I'm speaking about, I'm going to change the screen and point you to one of the tools that we have to actually facilitate this. So this really helps coaches who don't know their numbers. And there are so many that start out and they don't really know what their numbers are. They don't really know what those factors and those figures are that are actually going to move the needle in their business. And then they don't know what those daily activities are that they need to be focusing on to ensure that, again, they're actually moving the needle in their business, they're working towards their financial goals, and they're actually building a sustainable, profitable business that gives them consistent income. So this is the consistent cash flow system. The first thing is really just your own business finances, right? Expenses, your income, and then what your profit is. Going over to the next tab is your cash flow statement, which really is like a runway. So if you think of your business, your coaching business, or your, freelancing business or your consulting business as an airplane, you want your airplane to take off. Now, in order for it to take off, it needs a runway. And that runway is really the cash flow that you're bringing in on a consistent basis. And so this file, without going into too much detail, helps you to really narrow down what those figures need to be on a month-to-month basis so that your business can, or your airplane can then easily easily take off, and so that you as the pilot can be confident in that decision, because there tends to be a lot of stress oftentimes around that decision of going from a job to like a full-time business, right? And it's an amazing reality, but we want to make sure that we have these financials in place in order to confidently do that. Then the next tab is goal setting. So if my goal, for example, is $2,000, we're just aiming super low, just as an example. We want to be super clear on how many of these offers, if they're valued at $500, do we need to sell in order to actually hit that $2,000? So if our offer price is, $500, just again, making it super low for the purpose of the example, is $500, then we need basically to sell 4. We need 4 people to buy one of our offers to hit that goal. And obviously, if that is $1,000, or if your high ticket offer is $2,000 or more, then you obviously need less and less and less. And so there are different steps on how to actually go through this, but it really outlines your goals. It outlines the number of offers you need to sell. And then it also outlines, how many sales presentations you need to give, how many calls you need to have, how many leads you need to have, and then what that figure looks like on a day-to-day basis to ensure that you know what numbers are required for you to hit this goal, whether it's $2,000 or even $20,000 consistently, because that's what we're seeking here. And then how do we actually break that down in a day-to-day goal or daily task that we can check off to ensure, again, that we're consistently making progress? And so there are different levels, right, based on where the coaches are at, whether they're just starting out and have no paid clients, or whether they have some paid clients, or whether they're wanting to accelerate that. And so there are color-coded activities, yeah, but the main idea is that they're able to, on a day-to-day basis, check off on exactly what's required in order for them to actually, again, move the needle in their business and make sure that they're making progress. And then there's just a list of their leads, basically prospects, people that are that may be interested in the offer. And then this is the list of people that have actually seen your offer. They're interested, and now it's just about really making that final close where they're actually paying you, becoming paid clients. So I'm just going to shift back to the original presentation here and go over to bonus step 2. Bonus step 2 is scaling using paid ads. So once you got your first paid client or next paid clients, maybe you've got your first $1,000 or $2,000 per month. How do you actually scale that up to $4,000, $5,000, or $6,000 and beyond? And that's essentially what we cover here. And then I also share 4 core principles to 10x your business in the next 6 to 12 months. And those 4 core principles are lead generation, lead conversion, client ascension, and then client retention. So how do you ensure that you are optimizing your business in a way for maximum impact, maximum profit, and also in a way that's really efficient, in a way that you can get results really, really quickly? So that's bonus step 2. Bonus step 3 is how do you position yourself as the go-to professional in your niche? And especially for those who are perhaps getting started on social media, or perhaps you already on social media, you're posting quite a lot, you're very consistent, but you're not really getting results. And so the purpose of this step is not necessarily to get free leads or organic leads or clients from social media, but rather to position yourself as an authentic authority. Why is this important? So when people are making the sales decision, right, and I'm talking about right at the end, after they've booked the call with you and they've had that call with you, they've seen the presentation and they're interested, usually what they do is they move over to your social media and they're asking 2 questions. Do I trust this person, and do I like this person? And based on the content that they see there, they'll kind of make that final decision. And that's oftentimes the last step in the process. And that really is the difference maker between, yes, I'm all in, right? The client wanting to buy your offer, or I don't know about this person, right? And so your content can be extremely valuable at this stage. And so we want to have content that is authority based, that demonstrates that we are the go-to authority, right? We know what we're speaking about, that we're legit, but also that we're human and that we're relatable, that we're likable, right? And so the big challenge here is that a lot of coaches spend way too much time on social media, right? Sometimes hours a day, and they also don't have a lot of the coaches don't necessarily have a plan. They wake up and they're like, oh, what am I going to post today? Rather than having a structured plan. And so there are certain strategies that I teach where we leverage things like ChatGPT to enable you to create an entire month's worth of content. So basically your content calendar for the entire month in a matter of just a few hours for that whole month. And so there are a couple of strategies there as well. So that's the roadmap. And what I've found, if you give somebody a roadmap, that they don't really completely implement it properly, right? So they either don't implement it at all, they don't implement it fully, or even if they do implement it, they're not doing it properly. Why is this the case? So I use the metaphor of, if you were to pretend that you are somebody sailing on a ship and you headed to, or you're trying to find your treasure island, right? And even if you have the boat, you have the tools, you have the compass, you have the exact step-by-step guide or the roadmap or the treasure map on how to get there, it's possible that you will still struggle quite severely, especially if you don't have the experience of sailing. And that's kind of what it's like when, coaches go from just being coaches to actually trying to build a business and now being an entrepreneur. They lack the experience because they haven't actually gotten their first paid clients yet. They haven't actually built a business yet. And so mentorship is valuable because it's like having somebody that has been there 1,000 times, that has that insight, that wisdom, that experience, that can help navigate through some of the, technical nuances that the beginner might not be able to navigate through, and therefore being able to get there a lot quicker, and then also with a lot more simplicity. For me personally, mentorship, I think, has been the difference between wanting to achieve 3, 4, or 5-year goals in the matter of like 8 months. And so that's really what mentorship is, and that's the core part of this program, is having somebody step by step with you to implement the framework to ensure you're doing it right. So it's not just a matter of, here's your homework, you're on your own. It's, well, let's kind of break down where you're at so that you're clear on what steps to take. And then there's homework, and then you have support in between on whether you're actually doing your homework properly so that you can move forward quickly and you can obviously get results and do it in a way that's where you're not constantly overwhelmed or confused with the steps. So you always know exactly where you're going. You can consistently make progress. And so that's the one-on-one mentorship set. So that's the one-on-one mentorship sessions, basically ensuring that you have clear goals, what steps to take, that you have training on the specific areas that are required. So every person is different. Some people are more strong in marketing or sales. And so it's really kind of adaptive according to where the need is there. Hands-on consulting in terms of building, launching, and scaling your business. And then there's the coaching aspect of the program, which is centered around mindset and this requirement of us to constantly change our mindset in order for us to achieve more and to achieve at higher levels. For example, you have a very different mindset when you're, just starting out and you're making $0 per month as a coach or as an entrepreneur, as to when you're making your first $1,000 or $2,000 per month. And then still another mindset or edit in beliefs is required for you to make your first $5,000 and to do that consistently. And so at each of these, let's call them milestones, there's this requirement for us to constantly be changing our mindset, breaking through certain barriers, limiting beliefs, going beyond our comfort zone to ensure that we're actually consistent and that we're not self-sabotaging at every corner. And then there are sales presentation templates, which the coaches can copy and paste and then use to present their own offers. Why this especially is important is because what we're selling tends to be quite tangible. And so we want to make it more clear. And the more clear we make it, the more believable and the more certainty people have, and the more people end up actually going ahead for your offer. And so because, again, what we're selling doesn't seem as visual and tangible, it's important for us to make the sales presentation very visual and tangible to really be able to break down in a simple and sequential way what it is that we do and the value that we offer for that specific person, in very much the same way that I'm sharing with you the sales presentation to share with you the value of this program. And so in the same way, instead of coaches, spending hours on trying to create their own sales presentations, and especially the structure and the sequence, they just copy and paste whatever sales presentations I'm currently using and that are working really, really well. So that's included in the program. Then there are done for you ads or flyers. So this is kind of like if you were offering somebody a chocolate, and maybe the chocolate can be very tasty and very valuable, but in order for it to be attractive and somebody to actually buy the chocolate, the wrapping or the packaging needs to be attractive. And in the same way, our offer can be very valuable, but if the wrapping doesn't seem attractive, and especially in a world where people have the attention span of lower than a goldfish, we want to make sure that we have a flyer and add something visual that really grabs the attention of your ideal audience and brings them in. In the same way, also disqualifies the people who are not within your audience, so you're not wasting anyone's time, and of course, so that you're not wasting time either. Then there are copy and paste, ready to use social media templates. These are just very basic templates for coaches who want to get started on social media without like going through the hassle of design and that kind of thing. Then one of the most valuable tools in the program are the non-salesy sales scripts. So again, when somebody jumps on the call with you and they're interested in your offer, it's very important to know exactly what it is that you're going to be saying, what the structure is, what questions to ask, so that you're creating that experience that feels good for you and that feels good for the other person in a way that you are selling with confidence, authority, but also with integrity. So you're not selling with funny sales tactics or being pushy or coercive. And so what do you actually say, and how do you say these things? How do you conduct this conversation in a way that maximizes your conversion rates? And then we also have a guarantee that says if you don't get your first paid clients within the first 30 to 60 days of the program, considering that you've applied the program and the strategies in the program, then I, Warren L, will personally stay with you and support you step by step until you do, in the form of Zoom calls, weekly or bi-weekly, until you actually get that result. Of course, the main disclaimer and only condition is that, the coaches have done everything that is required to implement the strategy, and that they've obviously followed it, gone through the checklists, and also that they're willing to continue doing so. And on that basis, this guarantee is basically valid. Then there's a certificate of completion, just to kind of boost your coaching profile, saying that you have completed this program. And so to wrap everything up, what's included in the program is the Get Paid Clients framework, the step-by-step method to help the coaches get paid clients consistently without using social media, paid ads, technical funnels, which is really a repeatable system that coaches can install in their business to use to generate income for months or years to come. Then the personalized one-on-one mentorship sessions, where I actually help the coaches with a process. I guide them through the process, but also help ensure that they're taking the right steps through that process to ensure that they have a profitable niche, ensure that they have a highly valuable offer, ensure that they're actually marketing that offer properly without needing social media or paid ads or anything. And then how to actually sell without being weird or salesy in a way that maximizes their conversions and in a way that they can actually do this consistently. So again, there's 4 of them on a weekly basis. We sit together for about 45 to 60 minutes, depending on the need. And then I also provide support between the one-on-one mentorship session. Oftentimes they send me their homework, and I'm able to kind of guide them in the right direction and to basically ensure that they're taking the right steps so that they're saving time, they're getting there quicker. Then some of the other bonuses are basically tools. So the ad flyer creation, ensuring that they have an attractive ad that accurately represents the value that they're providing. Then the sales presentation, to ensure that they have something very visual and compelling so that when people are on the call to actually see what they have to offer, that it's very clear and obviously very attractive. Social media content templates for those that just want to get started. These are just very basic. And then, of course, I think the most important tool is the non-salesy sales scripts simplified. So what are the scripts? What are the words? What is the sequence that we take people through to actually convert them into paid clients for those people who the program is the right match for? If you're watching this video, it's either because you've expressed some level of interest and you want to book a call because you want to explore this further and kind of see if this is something you'd be a good match for. In that case, make sure to book a call using the link on the screen. And if you've already booked a call, the only thing left to do is to think about, firstly, what your financial goal is. What is the figure that you want to be earning on a consistent basis, month to month, from your coaching or whatever service you're providing? Secondly, what is the biggest challenge that you feel is holding you back from achieving this, let's say the next 3 to 6 months? And then finally, what is, realistically speaking, what is your capacity like? So time-wise, how much time do you have available on a daily basis to actually make this a success? And I want to say that there's a requirement of at least 2 hours per day to really, I think, qualify for being considered for the program. And then other kinds of capacity you want to be thinking about is how emotionally ready you are for something like this, how mentally ready you are for this. And then, of course, do you actually have a set aside budget of a few $100s to actually invest in a program like this? Because although we are giving away big scholarships and special offers, there is still an investment, a monetary investment that is required. So you want to be thinking about these things. Do I have an amount that I can comfortably set aside as an investment to really get paid clients and build out my coaching business? So that's it from my side. I hope it all made sense. If you're interested in being considered for one of the scholarships for the program, be sure to go ahead and book a call. If you've already booked a call, then just think about your financial goal, biggest challenge, what your capacity is, and I look forward to seeing you in the call. All the best.